It's a great honor for me to be here at the Empire Club of Canada today, which is arguably the most famous and historically relevant speakers podium to have ever existed in Canada. It has offered its podium to such international luminaries as Winston Churchill, Ronald Reagan, Audrey Hepburn, the Dalai Lama, Indira Gandhi, and closer to home, from Pierre Trudeau to Justin Trudeau. Literally generations of our great nation's leaders, alongside with those of the world's top international diplomats, heads of state, and business and thought leaders.
It is a real honor and a distinct privilege to be invited to speak to the Empire Club of Canada, which has been welcoming international diplomats, leaders in business and in science and in politics. When they stand at that podium, they speak not only to the entire country, but they can speak to the entire world.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Empire Club of Canada's second annual Nation Builder of the Year Award. My name is Antoinette Tamilo, and I am the president of the Empire Club of Canada. This is a very special event for this historic club of ours as we stop for a few moments at the end of this very challenging year and pay our respects to the men and women on the front lines over the past 9 months, the men and women keeping our economy moving and forward so hard to keep the rest of us safe, comfortable, and secure. This ceremony today pays tribute to each and every one of them. And while nothing we can say or do will ever be enough to express our depth of gratitude, we have assembled some pretty eloquent personalities who will at least help us as Canadians to thank the heroes of 2020. The next 90 minutes are filled with wonderful stories, so sit back, relax, and enjoy these moving moments from the last year. To begin this afternoon, I'd like to acknowledge the land we are broadcasting from is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. For those of you tuning in from regions across the country today, we encourage you to learn about the traditional territory on which you work or live. I want to take a moment to recognize our sponsors who generously support the Empire Club and have made this event possible. The Nation Builder of the Year Award 2020 is presented by IBK Capital Corp. Our major sponsors are Urbana Corporation and OMERS. Our supporting sponsors, and we have quite a few, are Canadian Bankers Association, LIUNA, Investment Industry Association of Canada, Onex, Avalon Advanced Materials, Inc., the University of British Columbia Faculty of Applied Science, Bombardier, Anuco Eagle, Arc Pacific Resources Corp., Tech Resources, Alamos Gold Inc., Grassroots Public Affairs, Canadian Securities Exchange, Bruce Power, Gardner Roberts, and IBM. Also, thank you to Bell and Humber College for their in-kind donation. I also want to thank our event sponsor, our event partner, Bespoke Audio Visual, for webcasting today's event, and our media partner, the National Post. Welcome also to our distinguished past presidents who join us today online for this special event. We stand on your shoulders and are deeply appreciative of how much work you did in the past to make the Empire Club our country's most famous, and for the past 117 years, the most popular speaking platform in Canada. Thanks as well to our adjudication committee, who helps us with the choice of winner each year, ensuring that we are on the right track. And thanks especially to our past presidents, Gordon McIver, and special advisor to the board for producing the show under Mike Van Solen, also past president, and chair of the Nation Builder Award this year, and to his fantastic team, John Gardner and Nico Waltenbury. These kinds of events represent an enormous amount of work and time, and we couldn't have an event like this without these talented and extremely devoted volunteers. Finally, we certainly couldn't do this without the hard work of our office team, especially Ashley Gregory, who has done so much legwork getting us ready for today. On a technical note, if you need technical support during the event, please contact NB Support at bespokeav.ca or use the chat feature in the bottom right corner of the screen. Here to get us started and to officially launch the fantastic lineup of guests we have for you today, the Canadian opera singer and singer-songwriter Charlotte Siegel, who will perform the national anthem. Thank you so much, dear Charlotte. Always so lovely to listen to you sing. Now, we want to show you a video on the background to this award and why it is so important, not only to the Empire Club, but to the country as a whole. But before we do that, I want to remind everyone watching today that we are a very old institution in this country. So old, in fact, that we were already well established when the last terrible pandemic swept through the world in 1918 and 1919. The Spanish flu killed well over 21 million people worldwide, including at least 50,000 Canadians. And yet, when you go back and look at the speeches given at the Empire Club and elsewhere during that period, there was hardly a mention of the disease. This was not just a shortcoming at the Empire Club. The world was so death-weary from 4 years of war, and there were so many infectious diseases around that this mass killer was treated more or less like just another health problem. The fact that it would go on to kill more people in Canada than had been killed in the war didn't seem to change these attitudes. Today, we meet in a lockdown due to the immense risks associated with the novel coronavirus. At first, we all thought that it might last a few weeks, maybe a month or so, and then we would return to our lives and pick right up where we left off. Well, humanity sure got that one really wrong. This has knocked us off our feet and led to a lot of introspection and reevaluation of priorities, of systems in place that no longer made any sense, and of a category of men and women who were traditionally not a topic of conversation, tended to be underpaid, and who were in many instances visible to our eyes, but more or less invisible in our thoughts and minds. But all that was about to change. Let's now watch this background video together and look at how this virus changed society and brought the frontline workers who have served us faithfully all of our lives into a new and well-deserved spotlight.
2020 has challenged the world in ways few would ever have imagined. Over the past year, we have lived with rapid climate change and increasingly radical politicized movements and racial tensions. Then we started to hear the stories of people falling ill around the world with what we would come to learn was COVID-19, a potentially deadly virus that people can carry around without even knowing it. By the end of March, industries and economies ground to a halt. We knew by then that this virus had reached pandemic levels, and that's when Canada began to show its true strength. We have changed our ways of living and taking care of each other at home and on the front lines of COVID-19. And frontline workers have made a world of difference protecting and caring for a country in quarantine, and then acting as the foundation as our country rebuilds. They are the life-saving healthcare workers, the first responders we trust in emergencies, the people who produce and deliver our food, and the crisis workers serving the most vulnerable people in our community. Frontline workers are at the cash register of corner stores and gas stations. Some of them are teaching and looking after our children. And they are all making invaluable contributions. For this reason, the 2020 Nation Builder of the Year could not in good conscience be awarded to one person or organization. It is our turn as the Empire Club of Canada to recognize all frontline workers. This year's Nation Builders have inspired us all to use our unique talents and ideas to support the greater good. Musicians wrote songs of appreciation. We got out our pots and pans and took to the streets to cheer for the unsung heroes of our communities. Children and their families painted windows and sidewalks with chalk drawings and positive messages. They will one day tell their children of the heroes all around us. Today, we express with this award our deep gratitude to Canada's frontline workers. May we come to know and cherish their individual stories, and may their legacy live on long after we have conquered this unprecedented challenge.
Thanks to the communications team at Humber College in Toronto for putting this video together for us. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce you to our Master of Ceremonies for today, a popular on-air personality at SportsCenter and TSN who first came to our attention last year at this time when we staged the first National Builder of the Year award at the Carlew Theatre in downtown Toronto. Many of you will recall how very different the world was 12 months ago. Canada was just coming off winning the NBA championship and felt a pride and exuberance that was exhilarating, like the world was our oyster and that we, the North, could do anything that we set our minds to. You remember those days, don't you? We invited to the celebration of the Toronto Raptors, a young journalist from TSN who got up on stage and gave a speech about dreaming big, about daring to go after those dreams, and about the gratitude that comes with living in a country where it is actually possible to achieve those dreams. Kayla Gray shared the stage with Masai Ujiri, as well as political and corporate leaders, and many will remember that she stole the show. We are just delighted to welcome her back today as our Master of Ceremonies. Kayla, a warm welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. What an honor it is, and especially to honor those who truly are our heroes, frontline workers. I am so honored and thrilled to be a part of this day. And I'm just delighted to be back with everyone as well, even though we're doing so with different means. But the Nation Builder of the Year Award is starting its life as an important component of our national fabric, isn't it? And I'm just thrilled to be able to contribute to its success in some small way. So thank you guys again for having me back. I cannot say thank you enough. I'm going to be guiding you through some testimonials today, messages from Canadians from all walks of life who wanted nothing more than to say thank you to our country's frontline workers as 2020 draws to a close. There are going to be many wonderful messages, and I won't really name, because of the time management, everything, but I will be introducing each one individual rather than in groups. Each group of VIP speakers will be followed by one or two testimonials from regular Canadians who were selected from the many testimonials we received on our website from all across the country. One of these lucky folks who sent in a testimonial will win a cash prize of $5,000. $5,000 from a draw that was done earlier today and that Antoinette will announce toward the end of today's event. Call me. The non-VIP testimonials we show you on the screen today were selected to be made into videos from those we received on our website. Each of them, along with all of the testimonials we received from all across this country, were part of this random draw, and each had an equal chance of being selected as our winner today. All right, everyone, let's get the show on the road. We're going to start with some very heartfelt messages from some of our political leaders, including Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Assembly of First Nations Grand Chief Perry Bellegarde, Ontario Premier Doug Ford, and Toronto Mayor John Tory. Now, these testimonials will be immediately followed by a message from football star turned frontline worker Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, who shared an incredible story of how a Super Bowl champion gave up the limelight just to give back to his community.
Hello everyone, bonjour à tous, and welcome to the Empire Club of Canada's Nation Builder of the Year Award event. I'm so glad to join you to honor and thank all of Canada's frontline workers. This past year has not been an easy one. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed all of our lives, and through it, Canadians have stepped up to help. You've shown exactly what it means to be Canadian. We've seen neighbors helping neighbors, family members caring for one another, and complete strangers extending a hand to those who need it. And more than any other, we've seen those on the front lines of this pandemic go above and beyond for Canadians across the country. I'm talking about all of our essential workers who've stepped up and put themselves at risk to keep our hospitals operating, food on our grocery shelves, and our towns and cities moving. Grâce à votre dévouement et à votre sens de l'engagement, nous sommes restés en sécurité pendant cette période difficile. Et nous voulons faire la même chose pour vous tous. Que ce soit de travailler avec les provinces et les territoires, d'offrir un complément salarial à nos travailleurs de première ligne ou de veiller à ce que vous ayez le matériel et l'équipement dont vous avez besoin pour vous protéger, votre gouvernement est là pour vous et vous pouvez compter sur nous. As COVID-19 continues to spread in many places across the country, we all have a role to play in helping to keep our frontline workers safe. We all need to wear a mask, wash our hands, stay 2 meters apart, and download and use the COVID Alert app. Because we will only get through these challenging times if we work together, if we all play for Team Canada. Once again, thank you to everyone working on the front lines of this pandemic. Our country will be forever grateful for your service. And thank you to the Empire Club for honoring our modern-day heroes. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Merci.
Kakianotemtik nawakumagnak, kinanaskum tinawal. My friends and relatives, thank you for the opportunity to share this beautiful day with you. I'm Perry Bellegarde, National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations. I'm speaking to you today from unceded Algonquin territory here in Ottawa. I want to thank the Empire Club for the opportunity to add my voice in honoring all those good people who have worked so hard to keep us safe and keep us well in the face of this terrible pandemic. When I think of the heroic work that has been done, I think of a word that's often used in Cree. It's the language of my people. And that word is wahkotuin. Wahkotuin is about relationships, and it's about responsibilities. The word wahkotuin is similar to the way we say we're family and we're relatives. But Wakotuan extends also to our neighbors, to all those we are in relationships with, and indeed to the whole world around us. Crucially, in our worldview, all these relationships carry with them a responsibility to stand together, to be there for one another, and to lift each other up. The COVID-19 pandemic has brought a lot of loss, a lot of suffering, a lot of fear and anxiety. But we have also seen relationship building, our Wakotuan in its truest sense. My heart goes out to all the families who have lost loved ones, and to all my sisters and brothers who continue to live with the fear and anxiety about what tomorrow may bring. I also want to acknowledge that our communities have also done an extraordinary job to try to keep COVID out and to minimize its impact. And I could talk all night about communities who acted in the first days of the pandemic to track down the personal protective equipment that they might need. The communities who organized food deliveries for the elderly. The organizations that translated health information into our First Nations languages. This was done quickly. It was done well. And it was accomplished by working together. For First Nations, the numbers of frontline workers in the conventional sense are few. Some of our communities might have only a single year-round health worker. The next nearest nurse or nurse practitioner or doctor might be a plane flight away. The demands on our frontline workers have been extraordinary, which is all the more reason to be grateful for them. Fortunately, our medical professionals and care workers have not had to stand alone. When the threat of COVID-19 loomed, entire communities mobilized. Everyone became frontline workers. I thank all of you and lift you all up for your efforts and the good examples you're all setting. Kenanaskomten. Thank you.
COVID-19 has impacted every aspect of our lives, but it has also brought out the best in all of us. I've seen tremendous acts of strength, selflessness, and spirit, the Ontario spirit, from the people who call this province home. They have answered the call in countless ways, whether it was retooling their business to make PPE, delivering meals to seniors or those in need, or pursuing research for a treatment or a vaccine. My friends, our province and our country have faced tough times before, and we have always come through stronger than ever before. Today, we recognize the hundreds of thousands of frontline heroes who have stepped up from the outset of this pandemic. Today, we thank them for putting their community ahead of themselves. Because of their heroic efforts, we avoided the worst during this first wave. And together, with our collective efforts to support them, we will get through the second wave. I want to give a special shout out to some of those making a real difference. Thank you to the nurses, doctors, PSWs, paramedics, lab staff, and first responders. Thank you to our mayors, our local medical officers of health and their teams. Thank you to the transit operators. Thank you to the grocery store clerks, truckers, and farmers. Thank you to all the nonprofit and community organizations and their armies of volunteers. Thank you to our educators. Thank you to our businesses who are protecting their workers and customers. And thank you to everyone on the front lines working hard to keep us all safe and healthy. All of Ontario is grateful for the courage and dedication you have shown throughout the pandemic. You're all absolute champions. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you.
Hello, I'm John Tory, the Mayor of Toronto, and I'm delighted to be part of the Empire Club of Canada honoring the Nation Builder of the Year 2020. And what an appropriate choice, what a wonderful choice to honor our frontline workers. And I wanted to just share for a couple of minutes what I've seen from our frontline workers, because I think I'm in a unique vantage point to see things perhaps that other people don't get a chance to see. Maybe I'll start with our own city workers. You know, cities across the country had to keep going. The water had to turn on, and the waste had to be picked up, and the parks had to be kept clean. The parks were especially important to people who needed to get outside during the pandemic. The transit system had to continue to run. And those workers showed up every day, and they did a great job, often in challenging circumstances, keeping those services going for people, especially the most vulnerable people. They were the people that worked in our shelters and places like that. I mentioned the transit system. I mean, we had the ridership plummeted, of course, but there were people, including some of those very same frontline workers who had to get to work, and they only rely on the transit system. They don't have a car. And so the transit system workers were there, week after week, month after month, day after day. And again, sometimes in circumstances where they were concerned about their own health, just given the fact that we were very uncertain and still are about this virus that's caused us so much difficulty. And then we move on, of course, to the healthcare system. I had a chance to be in an emergency room and just to see the people taking such good care. And they had their regular workload to deal with, but they also had COVID-19 patients, and the compassion and the extra circumstances they had to work in with the PPE and all the different things that had to be done to control infection was just something incredible. And you can see a bit of that compassion and caring and reflection in the face of the frontline worker depicted in this mural. I'm at Queen and Portland in downtown Toronto, and Emmanuel Jarvis, a very talented street artist here in Canada, put this together as a tribute to the frontline workers. And finally, I'll just mention the people who are working with the vulnerable populations in long-term care and so on. So I just can only say to them a heartfelt thank you. They did service beyond belief, service beyond comprehension, service above and beyond the call of duty, and they richly deserve to be named Nation Builder of the Year. Thank you very much, frontline workers.
Hi, my name is Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. It's really an honor to be here today. It's not every day that you get a chance to speak at one of the most prestigious club in Canada. And I'm really grateful to do it, to share my personal story, but also on the behalf on every healthcare worker who's been working on the front line through this pandemic. I had an opportunity, I think, back in April to contribute, to be part of that movement of healthcare professionals that went back and helped in those long-term care facilities to face this crisis. I did it to go back and help, but I also did it because I feel as a professional athlete, you get so many, support and privileges through your career that it's important at some point to give back and to go back and help. In the world that we're living in right now, all the little sacrifice count. Everything that you do, washing your hand, wearing your mask, it's little personal, individual sacrifice that at the end of the day make the difference. We got to realize that all of our action matters. Everything that we do has an impact. And it's not about you, it's not about your close friends, your parents, or your grandparents. It's also about our communities in general. And the population that we're working with in the long-term care facility are really vulnerable and fragile. And I feel like now more than ever, we got to be cautious of what we do and the risk that we impose on ourselves, but also on those people. Winning the Super Bowl for me was probably my biggest accomplishment as a professional athlete. And to come back home and feel the support from my community and everybody here was so amazing. And at some point, I realized okay, I got to move on. I got to get into, next season. I got to refocus. So I went on a vacation for a little bit. And when I came back, it was actually the first day that the government put in place isolation measure for returning travelers. And at the beginning, I was crushed. I felt like I didn't deserve it. And it was all about me, my off season. And I quickly switched my mindset to all right, I'm still really privileged. There's people that are really struggling right now, and it's important to help. And I try to go back and work as a doctor, but because I don't have, my residency and my license to practice yet, it was hard for me to do so. So instead, I went back and helped in the long-term care facility, and I was really part of a movement of thousands of people that went back. And it's really an honor for me to be here today. As a professional athlete, a future physician, it's an honor for me to take part of this event, but more so to be part of the team that I'm working with on a day-to-day basis with all those doctors, nurses, orderly who are making the sacrifice, the real one.
Thank you so much. I mean, just incredibly powerful. And thank you to the leaders for agreeing to help us honor our frontline heroes. Now, We have been so dependent on our elected officials getting it right over the past 9 months. I mean, I would never put up my hand to be in those roles, making those very important decisions. But it has been acknowledged around the world that Canada fared well because our politicians came together. Put partisanship aside, in more cases than not, something that did not occur in every jurisdiction. And how about the story from Laurent Tardif? He's really the kind of Canadian that makes us all so grateful and proud to claim this country as our own. Okay, let's shift gears now and hear from some of the folks from the entertainment industry who never stopped directing or acting or singing. And they helped make us forget about our problems, keeping us entertained. Never has the entertainment industry played such an important role in letting us continue to dream big and to scale the walls around us as we stayed inside of our four walls. Like, this is my fridge right here. Here are iconic Canadian filmmaker Adam Egoyan, young movie and television star brothers from Scarborough, Stefan James and Shamir Anderson, and Juno Award-winning jazz singer Sophie Millman. Now, this video is going to be followed by a testimonial about a very special food industry worker on the front lines in Prince Edward Island.
Hi, this is Adam Egoyan, and rather than give my thanks to all of the frontline health workers who are just doing such an extraordinary job, I want to give my thanks to one particular health worker who is allowing me to have contact with my mother on the other side of the country. And if it wasn't for this person, that's my mother, that's Liliana, and she has just been doing this heroic job, her and everyone else who really help out every day and help out so many people like my mother who are in their homes and whose offspring, like my sister and I, are across the country. It just wouldn't be possible to really have a life really without these people, and I'm just eternally thankful to Liliana in particular, and to everyone who's helping my mother, and to everyone who's helping all of our parents and all of our loved ones, and making this really extraordinarily stressful, difficult time human. So thank you for being the human beings in our life that remind us of how connected we are and how essential it is that we care for each other, acknowledge and be able to express our love and our humanity to each other. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
What's up, Canada?
What's up, Canada? We're here to tell you it's time.
Time for what, you ask? Time for love, time for hope.
But above all, it's time for gratitude.
Got it?
Gratitude for sacrifice, sacrifice for you, for me, and for all of us.
Our doctors, our nurses, our grocery store workers, our truckers and warehouse workers, that girl at Starbucks who makes our coffee, our Uber Eats drivers, and yes, our mental health workers, and those who enforce our laws, understanding the stress so many are now going through.
Their sacrifice, their commitment, their determination, day after day after day, that is what makes love and hope still possible in these difficult times.
Stefan and I know a bit about sacrifice. We come from a single parent home in the projects of Scarborough.
Single mom from Jamaica whose middle name was Sacrifice. A mom who came to Canada and then gave it all up for us. She joined our Canadian troops and built a life here in Canada rooted in love and focused on hope.
And just like our frontline workers, she lived the power of sacrifice. She kept our family, me and my brothers, glued together in love and hope when so much was out there that could have pulled us apart. Our mom made the impossible possible for us. She fought for her kids when no one else would.
Just like our frontline workers are doing for all Canadians today. Their sacrifice is the thing that's keeping Canada united in hope and love during the toughest time most of us can remember.
Their fight for us matters. They are the ones taking the risk to keep us all safe, all of us, whether we are white, Black, Indigenous, people of color. In Canada, everyone counts and everyone matters.
And their families and loved ones are a huge part of that sacrifice too. Long days and lonely nights filled with worry and rescued only by faith.
Faith that all of us will do our part to end this threat to the amazing possibility that we call Canada. Masks, social distancing, no crowds. A place of hope and love for everyone from everywhere on this planet.
It's all about giving, and we need to celebrate them all, here and now.
All right, Canada. So I need you to raise your glass or whatever you have in front of you right now. Brothers and sisters, raise your glasses in tribute to you, our frontline workers, and for the love and sense of duty that inspires you.
For the hope of a brighter tomorrow that inspires all of us. For you, your families, and your sacrifice for all Canadians, just when we need it the most.
Thank you, frontline workers. Thanks to all of you. We can do this.
And God bless you all. God bless all of Canada and every single Canadian. Thank you.
Cheers. Go Canada.
Hi there, my name is Sophie Millman and I'm a jazz singer. I feel that throughout this pandemic I've had a choice. The choice to stay home, huddle with my family, get groceries delivered if I wanted to. But so many people don't have that choice. People like doctors, nurses, care workers, paramedics, policemen and women, teachers, grocery clerks, people who go out day after day and keep our community working as smoothly as it possibly can, through great adversity, through great personal risk. And I've chosen the song by Shirley Horn to capture the way I feel about you and what you've done for all of us throughout this entire period. No complaints and no regrets. I still believe in chasing dreams and placing bets. But I have learned that all you give is all you get. So give it all you've got. So here's to life and every joy it brings. Oh, here's to life, the dreamers and their dreams. Now your storms be weathered, and all that's good get better. Here's to life. Here's to love. Here's to you.
Hi, I'm Lee Turner from ADL, a dairy cooperative here in Prince Edward Island. 2020 has been the year of the frontline worker, including grocery store workers at places like this one, Summerside Superstore. So come on, let's mask up, go inside. There's someone I want you to meet.
Pam Smallman. On Friday, March 13th, everything changed for food retail in Canada, including the Summerside Superstore, where store manager Pam Smallman led her team through a series of changes that have become permanent to protect both her staff and consumers. Those changes include directional markings on the floor, the sanitation of carts and fixtures, new access lanes for people who have used PC Express Click and Collect, plexiglass at the checkouts, and a number of other changes. Pam Smallman led those changes based on anchoring thoughts around colleagues and consumers. Her leadership is one of the reasons why frontline workers across Canada are the Nation Builders of the Year in 2020. Pam feels she represents all food workers in Canada all women in leadership positions, and all Maritimers. And I ask all Canadians on their next grocery pickup order to find someone like Pam Smallman and say, thank you.
And, making sure that we're saying thank you to those in our day-to-day passing. So Pam, again, thank you for all of your work. What a lineup. I mean, it's always so gratifying for a journalist to witness Canadian talent that is recognized far beyond our borders. I always argue that Canada is like the best export when it comes to talent. And we sometimes forget that Canada is a leader in sending stars and movie television productions around the world. Because of people like we have just heard from, we're in great hands to emerge from this crisis with renewed look and outlook and a focus on being on top of our game. All right, our next category could be entitled All Folks Who Have Done It All, but we have called it literature for the sake of this production. John Ralston Saul has been called one of the great authors and philosophers to come out of Canada and will be forever remembered for his iconic book, Voltaire's Bastards. He spends a lot of time thinking about Canada and what this country means to the world, as does his wife, former Governor General Adrienne Clarkson. Now, for all of you out there in our audience who are under 30, I am also, you may not remember that Adrienne Clarkson was also one of the leading Canadian journalists of the 20th century. That I do know. Their testimonial will be followed by a lovely testimonial on a remarkable frontline worker by the name of Marcia Brown. You're not going to want to miss her story.
We're so happy that the Empire Club is honoring frontline workers during this terrible pandemic. They're the people who take the brunt of everything that's happening. And I think immediately, of course, of our health workers, people who
doctors and nurses.
Doctors, nurses.
All the staff in the hospitals.
Everybody who cleans, everybody who's in contact with anyone who comes into hospitals. They're frontline people.
I've been to hospitals a couple of times over in this period, and you just see the stress and how hard they're working and how difficult it is.
And how wonderfully good-humored they continue to be, considering that we don't know anything when we go into a hospital. We
and volunteers who are actually pouring into the hospitals, which is really interesting.
Wonderful. And I think of the teachers of our grandchildren. We have 4 grandchildren in school, and they are going every day under very difficult conditions.
And it's very complicated because it keeps changing, and parents don't know, the kids don't know, and it's very, very hard to do this stuff online.
It's so difficult to work when you're not certain of what your job is supposed to really be. I mean, it's to be there, right? But also you're under conditions where you're uncertain. You want to be certain that you're able to care for the kids, that you're distanced, that you also can communicate what you're supposed to be doing because you're teaching. And the same goes with the medical care workers, I think, who have to work under great stress.
We're part of trying to figure out what this is. I mean, they know so much more than they did, but still we don't really know enough, sort of thing. But I also think of Howard and his friends at our local hardware store. I mean, they're fabulous. They're fabulous, and they're very well organized.
Yeah, and they're the people in contact at grocery stores, even though we have social distancing and there are the screens, they're there every day because they have to be there, they have to work, and they're taking the risks. They're taking the risks for a lot of us who perhaps can say, well, we're only going to go out a certain amount of time. The streetcar drivers,
the subway,
the bus, all of those people.
Amazing.
The people who continue to collect the garbage, to do all of that.
The guys on bicycles delivering, everybody's turning to take out food. Well, people who are driving those bicycles or cars and bringing it to the front door and so on.
And that means really that we thank you. We thank you, the frontline workers. You're terrific.
And we do have to think about the fact that we've spent a couple of decades cutting back in a lot of those areas so that a lot of those people are minimum wage or less and very part-time. And we really have to think, we have to look ourselves in the mirror and think the best way to thank them is to make sure that they can live properly and well with proper wages and guarantees in their jobs.
Absolutely. Congratulations to you.
And thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you.
My name is Paul Berry. It is my great honor to represent my friend, Marcia Brown, founder and executive director of Trust 15, who is being recognized with today's other frontline heroes for the Empire Club of Canada's Nation Builder of the Year Award. They have all undertaken enormous efforts and made significant personal sacrifices to keep us safe through this pandemic. Marcia is highly deserving of this special recognition for her unrelenting work with the economically disadvantaged communities of Rexdale and North Etobicoke. She serves at-risk youth who are 98% Black and 85% from low-income and single-parent homes. The COVID-19 pandemic has been particularly devastating on these underserved communities, and Marcia has worked selflessly to provide essential food, protective face masks, cleaning products, and other needs directly to households across the area. She has found innovative ways to meet unfulfilled needs, solve problems, and recruit resources to keep the community safe and functioning while bringing people together. Marcia's cheerful, optimistic, and friendly presence inspires hope. She has attracted an incredible group of supporters, dedicated volunteers, and benefactors who are compelled to lend assistance. Last summer, during the record-breaking heat wave, Marcia procured electric fans to relieve sweltering conditions for apartment dwellers without air conditioning who were forced inside during the pandemic. Marcia has organized large-scale efforts with the area's best seamstresses to provide frontline workers and the community with face masks. Due to the pandemic, all Trust 15 programs were canceled, including its mentorship programs for young women and men, which seeks to increase self-esteem and empower leadership. Marcia would not be deterred and worked tenaciously to establish a virtual leadership speaker series to keep the youth engaged and inspired. Marcia's tireless efforts have paid off, and since the midsummer, Trust 15 has presented a phenomenal roster of accomplished speakers that address topical issues like Black Lives Matter by promoting positive behavior, creative expression, and cooperative working skills.
Thank you to Marcia, who is one of my heroes. I'm so admiring of who she is and what she is, and of the work she does through Trust 15, and of all of you, because she is like, I don't know, she's somebody that's like your patron saint.
When many students and their parents were worried about returning to school last September, Marcia invited the Minister of Education to meet via Zoom to address their concerns about health protocols to keep kids safe. TD Bank recently donated 50 laptop computers and funding to support this mentorship program and expand online learning. Marcia is a remarkable person with an enormous heart. Her impact on families throughout these communities is immeasurable, and her compassion inspires us all. We are so proud that Marcia is being included as a frontline hero for the Nation Builder of the Year Award. Congratulations, Marcia.
And thank you so much, Marcia, for all that you do for our communities. Now, if Adrienne Clarkson was a governor general, and she was, as I said earlier, a prominent journalist in her day, and of course was a pioneer, a trailblazer for so many journalists, not just females as myself. This next testimonial is close to my heart, especially because it comes from the woman who is 2020's most recognized female journalist in the country. She has reported from all over Canada and, of course, the world. And today, I can say she's a colleague of mine. It blows my mind that I get to say that because I grew up watching her and I idolize her. Lisa LaFlamme, CTV National News chief anchor. She has this calming presence about her. And I think it has helped a lot of us because she's reported on the cases of COVID-19 in Canada, and she still remains so calm and so trustworthy. And it's an honor that we get to watch her every single night as we gingerly make our way through these dangerous and tough times. Her testimonial will be followed by the remarkable story of the men and women who collect waste every day and keep our country clean.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa LaFlamme from CTV National News. And since March of this unprecedented year, we've covered day after day stories about the impact of COVID-19 on Canadians. It's been an emotional time for everyone. For me, reporting on this selfless bravery of frontline workers in hospitals, long-term care homes, and healthcare settings has been both uplifting and at the same time heart-wrenching. Seeing daily the firsthand lived experiences of those medical professionals who have not only risked their own lives every day, but done so with grace and tenacity. The tireless work of nurses, doctors, orderlies, personal support workers, all frontline staff has exposed more than ever the enormous burden they carry to save lives and comfort those sick from this disease and their families. We've seen them armed and shielded with PPE, working endless days, fighting this pandemic, all the while doing whatever is needed to be done to keep their own families safe. Thankfully, for me personally, I haven't had anyone in my family suffer from COVID, but this seat has been a window into that reality as we reflect back to Canadians the stories of dedication and compassion from our frontline workers. And for all of those examples we've been able to share with our viewers, I know there are countless more untold stories of the selflessness and hard work happening every minute of the day across this country. As Canadians, we owe such a debt of gratitude to every frontline worker. Their dedication and readiness to take on this virus wave after wave makes me feel safe, and it makes me feel proud. This moment in time is not forever, but our admiration and our thanks to our frontline workers is forever, and I thank you. Now, in a total departure from anything I've ever done from this desk, I have got the one pot that I could find in the National Newsroom, and I salute you, frontline workers. You are our heroes. Put this back in the archives now. Bye, everyone.
Early every morning, your waste and recycling workers get up to serve our communities with pride. In the recent face of fears and anxieties, Waste Connections of Canada frontline workers have risen above, embodying what we know best. Together, we're better. We provide an essential service to communities across this nation. While residents are huddled in their homes, ordering packaged goods and food online, starting a renovation or a big cleanup, our frontline workers are there to support them. We're proud to be part of what made staying home easier, providing a sense of normalcy during these uncertain times.
I have felt safe. With the little changes that we've made with masks and different staggered starting times, it's little things that make the big picture a little easier.
Well, I'm always very proud of our guys here, and you know, this situation is just made me that much more proud, I think. You know, like I said, they come in every day, and I don't think they really think about it even being a pandemic other than the extra precautions we have in place. They just know they have a job to do.
With COVID-related safety precautions added to an already safety-first mindset, our frontline employees adapted quickly and efficiently to social distancing, mask wearing, and regular washing of hands. Protecting the health, safety, and welfare of Canadian families guide our every decision.
So hero, I don't know. Essential, sure. Important, yes.
Yes, I get a lot of gratitude from my customers thanking me and during my daily procedures and things like that, where I'll go into a customer and they'll actually come out to greet me. It's quite nice.
I do feel safe here, yes. They do provide everything, PPE and everything we need, so I feel good about it, yep.
For keeping our trucks on the road, our employees have received so much recognition from our communities for their tireless efforts and exceptional performance during this period. Handwritten notes and cards given to our drivers, gifts left on bins, and emails to express gratitude. Kids on their lawns waving as our big trucks drive by. We'd like to not only thank every employee, but also the families, friends, colleagues, and neighbors that support and enable us to meet our commitments to you each and every day. Thank you from Waste Connections of Canada.
Great. Now, we all heard a lot about the impact of the pandemic on corporations as they quickly retooled, bolstered supply chains, and looked for new ways to continue operations. Small businesses were especially hit hard, and we all know about the many restaurants and corner stores that did not make it. Corporate leaders who were able to quickly pivot to the new reality often found creative ways to stay afloat. And throughout the process, their frontline employees showed up faithfully for work day after day, whenever it was possible to do so. Let's listen to some of these leaders as they express their gratitude to these men and women who literally made it possible for many corporations to keep on going. The CEO of Sobeys, Michael Medline, knows a thing or two about this topic, as his employee base was particularly important to keeping food on the table for Canadians all across the country during this time. We're also going to hear from Canada's favorite tech entrepreneur, the star of Dragon's Den, Michelle Romanow. And then we're going to hear from the head of Canadian National Railroad, Jean-Jacques Rouet, who kept our supply chain strong and intact from one coast to the other. After CN, we're going to hear from one of the leaders from the banking industry, Victor Dogdig, who tells the story of the many thousands of men and women who kept reporting to work every day to serve Canadians' financial needs. This will all be followed by a moving testimonial about the frontline workers in the automotive sector, as told by the president of the APMA, Flavio Volpe, and a lovely story about helping out some seniors from an organization called Elder Strong Canada.
Hi, I'm Michael Medline. Frontline heroes are the rightful choice to claim this year's Nation Builder Award from the Empire Club. I'm honored to recognize and thank everyone on the front lines in Canada's grocery industry. This year, all grocery stores were faced with an immense challenge, and the heroes in grocery retail rose to the occasion. Grocery stores have always been the central hub of any community. They sponsor our local sports teams, donate to food banks. It's where many get their first job and many pursue great careers. And now, they'll always proudly wear the essential service badge of honor. Grocery stores continue to be critical to provide Canadians with the food, the medicine, and essentials they need for their families during this terrible pandemic. Working hard behind the scenes of your local grocery store is a tremendous, large, committed network of people hustling to keep shelves stocked. They are the local suppliers who have transformed their small businesses overnight, the assembly line workers who produce the food for our tables, the CPG companies, the suppliers and producers who continue to innovate and navigate unprecedented demand, our local farmers and growers who continue to be resilient under so much strain and stress, the mom and pop shops who adapted to continue serving their customers, the distribution center teams who worked through extreme chaos while the supply chain was hanging by a thread, the truck drivers, the real lifeblood of Canada's supply chain, and of course, the friendly teammates who wipe down your carts and now help you check out from behind a plexiglass shield. The food supply chain represents hundreds of thousands of jobs across Canada, and I'm incredibly proud of how our industry continues to persevere through this historic public health crisis. Canada's grocery heroes made sure we did not have a countrywide food crisis in the midst of a global health crisis. And Canadians made sure the grocery industry felt their love. Some customers made posters with words of encouragement or wrote them notes of thanks. These small gestures go a long way. To all of the frontline grocery workers, thank you for everything you've done and will continue to do. I encourage all Canadians to please thank your local grocery clerk, your local store manager, and support your local restaurants when you can. They are such an important source of the food chain in Canada. We know this terrible pandemic isn't over yet, but we will weather the storm together. Thank you to all of our selfless frontline workers across Canada. We salute you today and every day.
Hi, it's Michelle Romanow from Dragon's Den, and I couldn't be more proud to present this year's Nation Builder Award to the frontline workers in Canada. Every nurse, doctor, grocery store worker who was on the front lines of this pandemic. I couldn't imagine the fear that people felt this year as we were going into this, not knowing what was going to happen, how severe this disease was. And these were really the workers that kept our families and our economy alive throughout this crisis. I had a tiny glimpse of this when early on, me and my partner Anatoly, we had known a lot about bringing in goods from China. So I made a single Instagram post on a story that said, if you're looking for PPE, we might be able to help out. I have genuinely never seen something go this viral. I had calls from police chiefs in New Breton, heads of hospitals all across the country, and realizing that frontline workers didn't even have the most basic things to go in to keep themselves protected and to do their jobs. Fast forward, Safe Direct Medical Supplies brought in over 10 million masks, over 5 million gowns, but I got to see some of the incredible stress that went through our frontline workers' minds every single day as they were in, day out, managing this crisis. So I couldn't be more grateful to you, and thank you so much for your work and making Canada such an incredible place to be. Now, let's celebrate.
Bonjour à tous et merci de donner l'occasion au CN d'être parmi vous aujourd'hui. I am honored to have this opportunity to represent corporate Canada, our people, and CN to pay tribute to all Canadian frontline workers for winning the Nation Builder Award this year. There are so many people, communities, and industries that are surviving the pandemic because of the extraordinary effort of frontline workers. Here at CN, we have a dedicated team of 25,000 railroaders. Over 19,000 of my colleagues are on the front line 24/7. They are running trains, moving containers, fixing track, enabling port supply chain. They are all safely working toward a common goal to keep goods moving and to protect the North American economy. Our CN railroaders serve many different customers. For example, our frontline workers make sure that farmers' grain moves to port. Things like wheat, beans, peas, lentil, things that feeds the people of the world. Our people also work with global shipping companies whose vessels bring essential goods from overseas for our day-to-day lives. Our container trains are filled with these essential everyday consumer items. Our CN frontline workers move this product daily from faraway port to the store shelf of your cities. And CN frontline workers also make sure that products like bulk alcohol for hand sanitizer, plastic pellets for medical supplies, and hygiene paper for your home gets delivered to manufacturing facilities or distribution centers throughout the country. Whether you work in healthcare, food and grocery, emergency response and transportation, you have provided care and dedication with your long hours away from your own families. Your burden has been heavy. You are heroes for the work you have done and continue to do. Dans l'adversité, les cheminots du CN n'ont jamais cessé de se concentrer sur leur mission pendant la pandémie. Je suis extrêmement fier du service des réapprovisionnements essentiels qu'ils ont fourni. Nous saluons tous vos efforts pour assurer les services à la communauté. I have never been so proud to represent CN with all of our people. Despite the challenge, you never stopped coming to work to safely serve our customers and to move the economy. And finally, to all Canadian frontline workers, on behalf of all of us here at CN, thank you for your dedicated commitment. We sincerely appreciate you and all the tireless dedication. You all are so deserving of this year's Nation Building Award. Congratulations, stay strong, un gros merci.
Hello, I'm Victor Dodig, President and CEO of CIBC. On behalf of the entire CIBC team, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to the many award recipients of this year's Nation Builder of the Year Award, our country's frontline workers. Back in March, when the world stopped, our frontline workers didn't. Despite so many unknowns, you rose to the very real challenge of keeping your communities safe, fed, and as comfortable as possible. From essential retail workers to transit and delivery drivers to the frontline team members at banks and credit unions across our country and many others, thank you for the critical role you've played in keeping Canada strong over the past 9 months. Merci du rôle essentiel que vous avez joué pour assurer que le Canada demeure fort ces 9 derniers mois. And to those on the front lines of our healthcare system, we know you've taken on a burden that goes beyond long hours on the front line and reaches into your personal life, affecting your family and those closest to you. The current situation reminds us of how much we count on you every day and how much we're asking of you now. Your selfless acts have not gone unnoticed. We will get through this. When we do, let's never forget that when things were challenging, it was an inclusive approach that helped bring us back, everyone playing their part across the economy and across the street. To Canada's frontline workers, there is no better recipient for such a prestigious award. Thank you for all that you're doing for our country.
What a year 2020 has been. It's a great honor sitting here right now in early December, honoring the frontline worker. The Empire Club of Canada asked us to be involved and to give our perspective on how important in this year that the world has fallen apart and an unprecedented global pandemic has restricted our movements, our actions, our dreams, our hopes, our abilities to meet our families and friends and to stay safe. Auto parts suppliers and auto manufacturers in this country stepped up to the plate in March in a way that we hadn't done so since the Second World War. The country needed us. We could manufacture things at scale. We had 100,000 people that could make masks and gowns and swabs and ventilators and face shields. And the country needed it, and the industry stepped up in very short order. Hundreds of companies, thousands of workers who went to work every day while everybody else stayed home and stayed safe. This is the story of how that came to be.
China has identified the cause of the mysterious pneumonia outbreak in Wuhan City.
Now to growing concerns about the deadly coronavirus.
How serious is this? What's keeping you up at night?
We started to see the pandemic having an effect on the auto industry in December or January. You know, a lot of our supply lines go into China, and China was gripped with this novel coronavirus. And we were seeing, especially the Canadian companies who have plants in China, reporting back to us saying they've had rotating shutdowns and or they were dealing with public health shutdowns.
You know, we were looking at export controls being announced in the weekend, maybe of the 13th or 14th of March, and I thought, you know what, we don't make any of these medical devices, especially the complicated ones like ventilators, in any volume that we require here in Canada.
I've also heard from the Automotive Part Manufacturing Association. They've offered their support.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 new offers for help.
The Auto Parts Manufacturers Association reached out to us asking how they could help.
Here's Tesla. Honda reached out about a week ago and said, what can we do? We said face shields. And I sent them the open spec from Magna.
We did an announcement where 4 of the 5 biggest auto suppliers in Canada, Linamar, Magna, Martin Rea, and ABC are helping this great company that we found that makes ventilators in Canada here in Brampton called O2.
You see how talented our teams are here in Ontario. They switched over lines in some cases in a week, in some cases in 2 weeks. We were able to start producing ventilators by the thousands now, and we were in a crisis before.
We gave it everything we had, around the clock, for months. I think what we did, if we failed at everything else, if history at the end says it was a good effort, but you were wrong, I think we raised in the public consciousness a understanding that there was a dignity in making things.
Hi, I'm honored to be here today representing Elder Strong Canada and to speak about our movement for change around aging. My name's Kathy Wood. I'm here at my home in Collingwood, Ontario, at the Tremont Studio building on Creative Simcoe Street, one of my favorite spots in town. I am a frontline worker, worked in recreation therapy in long-term care homes before and during times of COVID. I wanted to thank the Empire Club of Canada for allowing everyday people like ourselves to tell our story at your tribute to Canada's frontline workers. Elder Strong Canada is on a mission to change hearts and minds around aging. The Elder Strong Canada group page on Facebook is a spin-off of a page started in 2015 for older adults. This page was created to help combat loneliness and isolation. Over the years, we started coming together as older adults in Canada, wanting to make a difference as a group. We are care partners, Indigenous elders, children and grandchildren of older adults, intergenerational program supporters, personal support workers, dance, art, and music teachers currently teaching online. And when COVID-19 hit, our mission became very clear, and the Elder Strong Canada group was formed. And now, moving forward, the Elder Strong Canada Movement for Change.
Thank you so much. Well, a year ago, most people in this country had no idea who the Chief Public Health Officer of Canada was. And we're probably unaware that each province and territory had a similar position. The WHO was a faraway organization that didn't really have much to do with Canadians and was most often associated with disease outbreaks in other continents and places that we didn't really concern ourselves too much with unless we were specifically involved in humanitarian programs or had families in these countries. No one would have ever guessed that these health professionals would enter our living rooms every single day, giving us the latest updates on the progression of the virus and pleading us to take the necessary steps to protect not only ourselves, but each other. A couple of weeks ago, the Empire Club welcomed its podium to the most senior health official on the planet, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, Director General of the World Health Organization. And he talked about Canada's response to the pandemic. Let's listen to him, followed by a testimonial from our own most senior health official, Theresa Tam. These video clips will be followed by a tribute to the frontline workers at Frigo Virtual in Quebec.
I'm delighted to hear that the Empire Club will give its annual Nation Builder of the Year award next month to the country's health and other frontline workers. Recently, member states at the World Health Assembly designated 2021 as the International Year of Health Care and Care Workers, recognizing the dedication and sacrifice of the millions of health and care workers at the forefront of the COVID-19 pandemic. Thanks also to my friend John Kirton. I also want to greet all those who have joined us online. On behalf of WHO, I would like to thank Prime Minister Trudeau, his cabinet, your provincial premiers, local mayors, and the millions of people across your country for the leadership Canada has displayed during this pandemic.
Hello everyone. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. I'm Dr. Theresa Tam, Canada's Chief Public Health Officer. I'm honored to take a few moments to thank all of our frontline workers for the sacrifices they have made over the last 10 months. Je suis honorée de pouvoir adresser ce mot de remerciement à nos travailleurs de première ligne pour les sacrifices accomplis durant ces 10 derniers mois. I would like to acknowledge that Ottawa, where I filmed this video, is located on the unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation, and I thank the Algonquin people for their stewardship of this land. We are living in an unprecedented time. Together, we are experiencing something that the world has not seen in living memory. I want to start off by saying that you, the frontline workers, have truly been the engine of Canada's pandemic response. Whether you work in a healthcare setting, grocery store, food processing plant, in transportation, technology, or in other essential services, you have been instrumental in maintaining the health, safety, security, and economic well-being of Canadians. Earlier this year, you may have found that all of a sudden, going to work put you at a higher risk of infection. You quickly had to adapt to new ways of working to keep yourself and others safe. For example, healthcare workers took on the task of communicating with families and giving extra support to patients when families could not be present at appointments in hospitals and in long-term care. Truck drivers took on extra shifts to ensure delivery of goods. Grocery store staff started wearing masks during their shifts, and agricultural workers and delivery drivers faced increased workloads to ensure food was kept on our tables. These are just some of the examples of the ways you helped keep our society running, despite the risks to your own health and to the health of your family. Many times over the past 10 months, I have reflected on the challenges that COVID-19 has brought. And when I think of all of you, how you are making sacrifices to ensure others are able to stay home, my admiration for you is immense. For this, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your adaptability, your perseverance, and your unwavering dedication. Thank you for every late night and early morning shift, every dinner missed at home, time lost with your loved ones, and for all the extra work you have put in. Most of all, thank you for the incredible work that you do. The bravery and courage you have shown is exemplary. Finally, I want to congratulate you all on the Empire Club of Canada's Nation Builder of the Year Award 2020. Your contribution to Canada is immeasurable, and the impact you have made is limitless. You are all the superheroes of the response. Stay safe and healthy. Thank you. Merci.
Hi, I'm Barb Amston. When I heard the Empire Club was awarding its Nation Builder of the Year to Canada's frontline workers, I thought, great. As to me, the Empire Club was a bit Toronto-centric, it was greater still to hear that they were going to showcase heroes from across the country. Let me introduce you to one, Matisse's Frigo Virtuel, or virtual fridge. So where's Matisse? It's 600 kilometers northeast of Montreal on the St. Lawrence River. So far east, it's almost in a different time zone, and the bone-chilling water is already salty. Officially bilingual, it boasts 200 years of Scottish and French heritage and 150 years as a summer resort. From a few thousand people in summer, it shrinks to 600 in winter. It's small, remote, and cold. Meet Nathalie Brochu. And in the middle in blue, Diane Dubois. Matisse has a large older population. With COVID spreading and the closest hospital 20 kilometers away, Diane and Natalie made hundreds of masks. Not for sale, but to give away with a suggested gift of $5 each in return. The two then gave all proceeds, $6,000, a lot for this small, less well-off community, to the virtual fridge. Part 1 of the plan, masks and money. Part 2, where the money would do most good. Stephanie Pepin, president of the CLD, or Local Board of Trade, and a Canadian Coast Guard Auxiliary member, started Frigo under the CLD banner for those hit hard by COVID's economic impact. Ted Savage, local firefighter and Coast Guard Auxiliary, raised $6,000 plus from locals, the school, generations of summer residents, and summer churches. Frigo Virtuel meant getting food to those in need. As no one likes to air their private situations in public, Only Stephanie took calls from people in Matisse and nearby villages. Masks continued to be available as people dropped off food at weekly drives. Food was triaged to see what was missing. Stephanie then used the 12,000 raised to buy fresh meat, fish, produce, dairy, and more non-perishable goods. Volunteer first responders with a code of confidentiality made all deliveries privately. While most calls were for food, diapers and pet food were provided too. Seniors were taken for doctor's appointments. People banking in person were taught to go online. Stephanie says each case is different. Some people just need to talk. When I asked if I could nominate Frigo, she said, so many people did so many amazing things to help others get through this. I don't know if the virtual fridge would stand out. It's this unselfish attitude that is the last reason I nominate and thank Frigo volunteers who provided a virtual lifeline to their neighbors in need.
Now, I hope you are all enjoying these testimonials as much as we enjoy putting them together for you. I want to show you the historical award certificate that the Empire Club is submitting today to our country's archives at the Library of Parliament. In this way, Canadians in decades and even centuries can come and look back at this moment in time and remember just what their ancestors were going through in 2020, and also recall the fundamental role played by our frontline workers. To do this, let's go to the Speaker of the House, the Honorable Anthony Rota in Ottawa. He's going to explain exactly what will become of these memorable papers.
Hello, my name is Anthony Rota, and I'm the Speaker of the House of Commons of Canada. Il aurait été très agréable de vous rencontrer en personne, mais je suis content d'au moins pouvoir prendre part à cet événement spécial de façon virtuelle. As Speaker, I preside over the House, making sure the rules are understood and followed by all members. I am also the Chief Administrative Officer of the House, so I am responsible for its operations in support of the members of Parliament. I'm very pleased to have been invited by the Empire Club to be part of this Nation Builder of the Year award. This year, the award is being presented to Canada's frontline workers in recognition of their vital role in supporting our communities throughout this difficult time. This award certificate is the tangible expression of the gratitude of Canadians everywhere, and I am honored to have been entrusted with its safekeeping. Ce certificat est l'expression tangible de la reconnaissance des Canadiens et Canadiennes, et je suis honoré d'en avoir été confié sa garde. The Library of Parliament is the knowledge centre of Canada's Parliament. It offers parliamentarians impartial research and analysis services, welcomes thousands of in-person and virtual visitors to the Parliament buildings, and provides educational programs and research and resources to each student about parliamentary democracy. As importantly, the Library of Parliament houses a precious collection of art, rare books, and artifacts of national significance. Today, this certificate becomes the latest treasure to become part of the Library of Parliament's collection. The stewardship of Canadian history is a duty the library shares with the Empire Club, the only club of record with all historical documents going back to 1903 in their online archives. I applaud the Empire Club for its choice in recognizing the extraordinary contribution of frontline workers. All Canadians owe them a debt of gratitude for helping us cope with the daily challenges posed by the pandemic. I offer them my heartfelt thanks and my prayers for their safety as they continue their crucial work. J'offre mes remerciements les plus sincères et mes prières pour leur bien-être et leur sécurité alors qu'ils continuent leur travail si essentiel. Stay safe, be well, and may we all be able to meet again soon.
I mean, I feel like I'm just watching history unfold right before my very eyes. And again, thank you to the Speaker of the House and to all those voices that we heard from today. I mean, what an all-star cast we saw. And they came to us from across the entire country, from all walks of life. But especially, thank you to our frontline workers who have made the ultimate sacrifice to keep us safe. I was so happy to be a part of bringing these voices to you, and I hope that they gave you some renewed energy and courage as we continue to fight what has been come to known as the invisible foe, the greatest challenge of our generation. But I'm still staying hopeful, especially for 2021. Thank you, Antoinette, for inviting me today. I think I should throw things back over to you right now, because now I know that you have a rather exciting task to perform.
Kayla, I just want to say that we all fell in love with you at our first Nation Builder of the Year award last year. I think I was at the top of the list, just so you know. You outdid yourself this year. You know, under these circumstances, not easy. I wish we were together on a stage with a big crowd around us, but we have to settle for this. You're truly a wonderful host, and we are so grateful for you for doing this for us. And a special thanks as well to CTV Bell Newsnet for all that they have done to help us with our ceremony today. So happy holidays, Kayla. Stay safe and well. And I'm going to take a lead from Stefan and Shamir. Here's to a safe and healthy 2021. Cheers.
Yes, amen to that. I cannot wait till we are all reunited sometime in the future. And to my brothers and sisters that are celebrating Hanukkah, happy holidays, everyone. Stay safe and please take care of each other.
Thank you. So, as Kayla was saying earlier today, we conducted a supervised draw from the names of those Canadians who submitted testimonials on their favorite frontline worker to the Empire Club. Some of these folks were approached to do video testimonials, which we all just finished enjoying, along with the testimonials from our VIP lineup. So one of those everyday Canadians is winning a $5,000 check from the Empire Club of Canada. And we obviously didn't want to make this a contest between frontline workers, as we value all of their work collectively. So this was an entirely random draw. So, drum roll. The winner is Tim Hill, a pilot from Nunavut. Tim Hill and his colleagues at Keewatin Air have been providing critical air ambulance services and delivery of supplies to remote and/or underserved communities across the Canadian Arctic. With COVID-19, ensuring that people in these communities access health care quickly and that their communities are supported is more critical than ever. Tim and his colleagues at Keewatin Air provide a critical link between these communities and the health care and supplies they need. Congratulations to Tim Hill, and we hope this award will in some small way help Tim Hill in continuing the excellent work he is doing in providing medical services to remote communities in Canada's far north. So you've already heard me thank our sponsors, and you can find out more details about them on our website. Without them, this club would not exist, and we certainly could not bring you events like the one today. So many corporations stepped up to the plate and wanted to be a part of this ceremony of gratitude today, and we are so very thankful to them for their generosity. It is my pleasure to now introduce you to Mr. Mike White, the President and CEO of IBK Capital, our lead event sponsor today. Mike will express our collective gratitude to all of our VIP speakers, our frontline workers, and to those who brought the wonderful stories of these frontline workers to our attention.
Madam President, distinguished head table guests, members and guests of the Empire Club of Canada, I have the pleasure to express our formal thank you to our key speakers and congratulate the men and women who have kept us safe and functioning during the COVID-19 pandemic. The Empire Club of Canada celebrates the second annual Nation Builder of the Year Award, and to quote from the Empire Club's website, the Nation Builder of the Year Award formalizes what the Empire Club of Canada has been doing since 1903, celebrating and providing a platform for people who are building our country. That's why the focus of this award, the Nation Builder of the Year Award, is on the efforts by a Canadian individual or group of individuals who are making a significant contribution to our country. The many women and men who have kept us safe and functioning through COVID-19 have done just that and continue to honor our great country. We are very proud and very thankful of you, the frontline workers, for all the selfless sacrifices you have made and continue to make in an effort to keep every Canadian healthy and safe. We have witnessed your tireless efforts firsthand and through the media. We have seen the benefits of your actions, your hard work, diligence, and persistence, done with all of your heart, selflessly and for the benefit of others. You are an inspiration to Canadians and generations to come. Please join me in a warm and special thank you to all that have made today possible, including the sponsors, the award committee, today's speakers, and of course, the recipients of the Nation Builder of the Year Award 2020, all the women and men who have kept us safe through the pandemic. You are our heroes, our Canadian heroes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. May God's healing presence flow to all parts of Canada. God bless our heroes, God bless those in need, and God bless Canada. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike, and a special thank you again to all of those who came together to make this event happen today. And of course, we reserve the bulk of our thanks for the winners of our Nation Builder of the Year Award 2020, our heroes of 2020, the frontline workers who have truly helped to build a better nation these past 10 months. Many have said that they can't wait for this year to end, that it has been long, painful, dark, lonely. In closing, let me say that we at the Empire Club see it a bit differently. We saw the strength of our citizens this past year, the generosity of spirit that goes with being Canadian, the compassion and care that makes us the envy of the world, the best country to live in on planet Earth. As we come to the end of this year and prepare to celebrate different holidays in the best way we can manage in these difficult circumstances, we invite you to stop for a moment and remember how truly blessed we are to reside in Canada. It is a gift like none other, something that others around the globe look at us with awe and admiration. We're a pretty modest bunch for the most part, but I think we all know in our hearts how lucky we are to live in Canada. And so to everyone who has joined us today, no matter how many challenges you are facing and how difficult life may seem at times, be grateful for we the North, for all of our fellow citizens like the brave men and women we are celebrating today, who make us all so grateful to be Canadian. May 2020 stay forever in our minds, not as a time to be forgotten, but rather a time when the true goodness of Canada shone through to each and every one of us. May you stay healthy and safe. Thank you for joining us today in this celebration. This meeting of the Empire Club of Canada is now adjourned.